everybody. Welcome into this reading. Thank you for being here, for tuning in for this card layout today. If you're new here, thank you for being here and thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I appreciate that you could be anywhere on YouTube right now and you're here watching this video, so thank you. And bienvenidos. I also wanted to just honor the rebellion that's happening in LA right now, and to say thank you to all the people in the streets that are fighting that fight, as well as in Minneapolis and in other parts of the country, right? Like, I'm fighting in my own ways. I'm sure many of you are. And I don't have un tricolor here, but I do have this EZLN rider that I got in Chiapas fucking decades ago now. It was during the Subcomandante Marcos era of the EZLN, not long after the original uprising. And I was very happy to get this. Her little gun, the top of it broke off, but otherwise it's the same as the day I got it, and I love it. So I'm honoring the Americas, the mexica, our history here outside of borders, because fuck borders. And just welcome you to the reading. I decided to do a reading on what should we do, like what should be our approach, what should we know, what should we understand around this kind of crisis, right? Because it affects our loved ones. It definitely affects people I know and love. I'm sure it affects people that you know and love. And it cuts right to my heart. Like, I really, like it does many people. The gentleman that was yelling at the federal agent on the short that I posted yesterday, you can clearly see how his heart is just ripped open in the way that he's talking to that FBI agent. So it's a good time to bring out the Soleone deck. This is a discontinued Italian deck that, if you know, the Italians are no strangers to dealing with corrupt feudal governments, fascist governments, right? And this deck is very much a people's deck. It really captures like a peasant rebellion energy in it. It's pretty violent and kind of a bloody deck, and that's why it's discontinued, because people weren't sure how to receive it. But if you have that kind of perspective in looking at that kind of history of like tearing down kings and whatnot, it's really, I've noticed the power shifts in the queen position of the court cards. The queen is just seizing power. She's one of the peasants that's just taken up the power role, sort of like maybe Fidel, right? Or something, like in those early days of having won the revolution. I'm sure what that must have felt like. The queens of this deck are a lot like that energy. And then once you get past the queens, the power shifts, and the emperor's shown not in the traditional way that we're used to seeing the emperor, but in a very brutal, stomping on his subjects kind of ruler, right? So it's a good deck for these times when we're doing a layout like this. It's a collective layout about what's going on in people's lives, okay, and survival, right? And I didn't want to burn really anything beyond these two candles because it's hot out where I am, in case you haven't noticed. Just cleanse the space with this little protective spray. And I felt called to pull from this interesting Woodland Wardens deck, this beautiful deck by Jessica Rue, and just bring the voice of the planet and nature as much as possible, interpreted through a card maker, right? But try to start off with the earth and then move into the layout. What should we know? What should we know about... Oop, I just burned out my little candle. What should we know about the crisis that people are facing? And I'm open to it being a personal crisis that comes out, but I'm asking particularly about families' safety and the global community, right? Like, who are we to you know, I mean, what's happening in Palestine is an atrocity. Like, we should not, you know, just all of that, right? So that's very personal. But there might be a personal situation that comes out too about overthrowing your personal dictator in some way, right? The mouse and buttercup and the hawk and thistle, which is so interesting because straight off that's a predator-prey relationship. And we're asking about power, governing illegitimate power that's terrorizing people for no reason, to stroke the ego of a fatalist narcissist, right? Malignant narcissist that's in our highest office. So it's no joke. It's very predator-prey type energy. And they both came in the reverse. So the hawk and thistle. Oh, I opened right to it. The hawk is a keen and vigilant observer, so much so that watchful and hawk-eyed have become synonyms. An apex predator, the hawk glides gracefully on the wind, its sharp talons ever at the ready. The thistle can thrive in a variety of environments, from verdant hills to rocky shores. Its spiked, stinging leaves protect its radiant flower, which perches like a crown upon its stem. In reverse, this card means external pressures have weakened your resolve. Remember your worth and guard it closely. So, am I easily influenced by my environment? How can I thrive in a difficult situation? Okay, so that's an interesting starting point, right? External pressures have weakened our resolve. Remember our worth and guard it closely. Well, if you look at the people fighting in LA, they don't look weak to me. They look strong as courageous as fuck, but they're only so powerful against a huge militarized police force plus the National Guard, right? Like, they're way out equipped right away, right? But they don't have reason to be, you know, it's, people have won rebellions in desperate circumstances all the time. Again, in Cuba, right? That's a great example. Like, the odds were really stacked against them in many ways, and they still won. So there's a whole way that people can create these kinds of insurgencies, right? There might be a happening right now since this is sort of a U.S.-centric reading, but immigration is not just a U.S. issue. It absolutely impacts the globe. And so there's maybe a shift in the energy today where the people who are on our side, who want freedom for human beings to move freely on this planet that we are all indigenous to, that we want to be able to move freely without borders and without militarized police states keeping us in check at every point, right? Like, we might be having a down day, like feeling discouraged, like the forces are too great. So I know that's a lot of speaking about just this one card here, but it's a lot coming through. And then, wow, mouse and buttercup, which is the very beginning of the deck. It's card 0. So that's highly interesting. This is an amazing opportunity for a new beginning indicated, although it's in the reverse. So let's just see. Innocence. Like the Fool in a tarot deck, the mouse and buttercup is numbered 0. Both cards mark the start of a journey, and both remind us that we have much to learn. Mice are grounded and innocent, yet anyone who has dealt with a mouse in their house knows they are determined and highly adaptable. What were we just saying? Don't let the size of their equipment and their might scare us. We're the mice in that equation. I love it. This is amazing. I love cards. The mouse is paired with the humble buttercup, a symbol of childhood innocence. Have you ever held a buttercup under your chin? According to a centuries-old game, if the reflection of the flower glows yellow on your skin, it reveals that you like butter. And in the reverse, this card says, you may be unprepared for what you undertake. Consider how you might adapt and learn to better lay the groundwork for future endeavors. Okay, so because this was a spontaneous uprising that was reactive in nature, there might be some blows to the movement because of the might of the governing police agents, right, that are trying to get it cracked down on and under control, even using horses, which is disgusting. And so it's just going to be a time to kind of, like when the Occupy ICE movement in Portland a few years back during the first administration, it succeeded for day after day after day after day. And finally, near the end, it broke down under a lot of pressure. Like the internal conflicts got too great. They cracked under a lot of pressure because the pressure is intense, because they were up against a huge federal government, right? Not just a small matched enemy. And so it's like this maybe in LA, not that and I don't want to fuck around and find out in LA, and that's what's happening. They fucked around and they're finding out, but I know there's a lot. Sorry, I'm gonna stop going on and on. It's because I care about this, and hopefully the people catching this don't mind and also care about it, right? And understand why I'm going on at length. So we need to maybe figure out some approaches that are proactive to defeat this. It's hard, right? This is a supreme challenge. It's hard not to be reactive because we don't know where they're going to pop up and where they're going to show up. We have some intelligence from what they've been doing lately to make some guesses, but what do we need to know? How are we going to, what's going to be the best way to fight ICE? Just straight up, I'm just going to ask that. ICE or the militarized police state, maybe, so it's not so US focused. What are regular people who are being impacted, potentially having their families deeply traumatically impacted, what are we to do and know, and how should we proceed? What do we need to know the most? That's interesting. So the keystone, cornerstone card is the Wheel of Fortune. And as you can see in the Soleone deck, it's a terrifying experience. He's on a torture wheel, okay? So that's like the detention centers, okay? They're terrifying experiences for people. They're incredibly harsh, horrible conditions. At Northwest Detention Center, they were actually spraying down the entire detention center with pesticides, which are highly toxic chemicals that people had no defense against. They had no defense against them spraying these agricultural pesticides. What do you think that is, right? We're not stupid, okay? So this is what we're up against. And that's why this is coming out like this, right? Because that's how this deck is. Fuck around and find out with this deck. Wheel of Fortune here. This man is feeling completely and entirely powerless and strung up against whoever or whatever is controlling him. Yeah, this is exactly speaking to this, the Eight of Swords, battle and incarceration and entrapment. So this is something like kettling a large group of people, a police maneuver where they'll make it so a group of activists in the street get cornered in a place where they can't escape, and then they'll start firing in munitions and it's a tactic, right? And it's this kind of entrapment, incarceration, kettling. It's the police state. It's the militarized police state is this Eight of Swords here. It's imprisonment. The Seven of Swords, these people are fucking thieves in our community. They're thieves that are coming in and stealing our loved ones and stealing our sense of safety, or trying to, right? We keep each other safe. So LA is that. That's what's going on, right? So yeah, this is heavy. In the Facts position is the Page of Wands. So this is, to me, a hopeful sign in the Facts position. I'm hoping that this card means good news, because it often does. And so I'm going to see, we'll see based on the rest of the layout, but I'm hoping that means good news here. Okay. Wow, this is fucking powerful, okay? I know this reading's not going to be for everyone. If you're someone that likes love reading and toxic family drama readings, this is toxic government drama readings and life and death shit here. I'm into it. So our vulnerability here is the Knight of Wands, meaning that right now we're so catalyzed and charged and lit by what's happening that we rode into battle. And this is, and when I say we, I'm talking about the people in LA, the people in Minneapolis, rapid responders, people who get notified that ICE is in motion in their community, and they mobilize and they respond, right, in a variety of ways. That's the Knight of Wands energy. Right now it's in our vulnerability position, meaning that we're forced to be reactive, and that's a vulnerable position to be in tactically, right? Like, you can't, if you're being forced to react to a power that's much larger than you, it's not an empowered position, and that's why it's in the vulnerability. We have the courage, we have the heart and the fire and determination, but we maybe lack the discipline or the benefit of being able to be more proactive is the vulnerability that we have. The very center of this is healing. So this, and what's interesting about this Temperance card is that there's a ruler here, like a, it's interesting because he looks like some kind of a Turkish ruler, but he's a ruler carving a goose, and then there's a jester on the floor eating his scraps along with a rabid dog, basically. So this is like, who gets healing? Who gets to have the privileged position of being in a safe, healed place, right? Who's getting that right now? It's become God, what am I trying to get out here? The definition of who's allowed to have a privileged position and who's allowed to be safe, in at least where I live, is gradually becoming, or always has been, but it's even more stark right now, is white men, basically, right? And white women as well, in different ways, but also they're in an empowered position above most folks of color in many circumstances. Not always, right? There's times because of intersectionality where men of color have power over white women, right, or whatever, right? That's what intersectionality speaks to, is like all the different ways identity come together and clash and have power over and power under and everything. So that's what this card is speaking to, is that there's a huge power differential in who gets to feel safe and comfortable and healed and enjoy this holiday goose, and who's forced to perform for scraps, okay? You can't make it up. It's like the very center of this. So this is American families, white American families, sitting down at a Thanksgiving meal and being Trump supporters and not grasping the food and where their food came from and who humbly harvested their food. Okay, that's what this is right here. Fucking A. What we know is that things are not as they seem. We know that this is bullshit. This is the moon. This is feminine energy. We know that there's an imbalance of patriarchy and masculine energy that is, Trump is the epitome of that, okay? There's plenty of good men, the men in the streets of LA right now, right? I'm not speaking masculine versus like all men are evil or I'm a misandrist or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. But this is feminine energy that's from the heart, the water element that says we know that a better world is possible. We know that what these people are doing is bullshit. We know that fascism is bullshit, right? This is our strength, is that we know better. We know and can see through this illusion that is just, you know, and we have history, we have our brains to look back in history and see the cycle, right? Like, this is what we know and what our strength is our ability to perceive with our heart and to know that this is not what it seems. They're the fakes, right? They're the fakes. They are the fakes in their ivory tower. The devil on our shoulder at times wants us to take crumbs. Okay, it's the Ace of Pentacles, and normally that's a card of offers and opportunities, but it's a seed. Okay, and in this case, in this context, we're talking about crumbs. And because they have so much power, our vulnerability is our shadow just wanting us to settle for crumbs, because the alternative is scary. To say, no, I'm not going to settle for that, and I'm going to fight you in the street with Molotov cocktails to your tanks, right? Like, that's a scary choice to go up against the kind of power that the US government has. It just is. Or any first world government usually is highly militarized, right? So, this is what our shadow can get us thinking of. Like, it's safer to just try to keep our head down and go to work, right? And we all do it. And we have days where that's what we need to do, where we can't be out fighting. We have to be resting and taking care of our family, or sleeping, or earning our money to keep living, because we are in the matrix to some extent, right? Like, we can't just, a better world is possible, but we're not there yet. We still have to clock in, right? That's most people's reality. What we know in our conscious mind is that we have the strength to do it, and that it's life and death, that we have to do it. Because look at this show of might with this soldier here about to behead a peasant person who participated in an uprising in the street. We know that we have the strength. Strength is typically a really empowered card, and here this is why we need to be strong, is because of this abuse of strength, right? Because these agents are being, unrolled or rolled out like SS or something, that are in to terrorize the community, like Kristallnacht, right? Like, it's that kind of energy that's happening here. People being summarily executed. And when I say that, I know that there's not literally executions happening in the detention centers, but there are things like pesticides being sprayed, women having surgery without their consent. That happened in the last administration multiple times, more than one woman that happened to, okay? So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And then where the energy is headed is the 9 of Pentacles, which to me, when we're talking about street justice, like Antifa anarchism, which is my framework, this is where we fade back into the background. This is black bloc showing up in the street, or else it doesn't have to be black bloc, but just masked. A masked person in the US, a masked worker. Let's use that word. I'm not a communist, I'm an anarchist, but worker can kind of get communist overtones, and not that I have anything against that. I'm just saying, clarifying. That's the tactic, is to show up in the streets, try to conceal your identity, and then fade back into the fabric of society and go to your 9 to 5. That's what this card means, and that's the best move to make right now for people that are doing the uprisings as they get tired, is to just fade back into the background, right? Walk out of the street, walk back to your car or wherever, however you're going to get back home, unmask, clean up, rest, be with your comrades, talk about what next, right? Especially if you have family directly impacted. What else do we need to know? What else do we need to know? ¿Qué más necesitamos saber? ¿Qué más necesitamos saber de esta migra fascista? What do we need to know? What else? Sing to clear your throat chakra and lift your spirits. So we need to listen to music to rally us and rally our spirits. I did a little post earlier just to try to, since I'm not in LA and I feel like I'm vicariously there, because I used to love street actions like that, honestly, and I'm not sure I can handle it anymore because I have trauma from some of it. But watching it, I want to be there. And so I posted some ICE signage that I made during the first administration, and with a song that FDT, right, that just boosts my adrenaline and gets me going and helps me feel amped up to keep going and to keep up the fight and the solidarity with others. Guard your inner vein of gold. Artemis and Actaeon shield your energy. So this is that fading back into the background and going home and resting and eating and hugging your loved ones and getting some rest, right? Inject chaos into the situation. Dragon energy is needed to end stagnation and then get back out there, right? So injecting chaos in the situation is like what they're advising when we see ice cause distractions. Do things that fuck up their game, right? Like when they roll into a situation like a courthouse or whatever, as soon as you're seeing them there, start fucking shit up. Like start causing distractions, interfering in any way that you can, right? That's one tactic that's being discussed. It's dangerous. It's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to feel comfortable or willing to do that. Like bodily try to, hey, look over here, you know, and try to get their attention because it's sketchy. It's dangerous. They're dangerous agents, right? Heartbeat. Pay attention to our heart. Stay connected to our heart. We already know. We already know. You don't need to tell us, right? But yeah, don't get so enraged that we start resorting to tactics that are the oppressors, right? I don't know why I grabbed this Kipper deck. Kipper doesn't strike me as that relevant. Sorry, I feel like I smell something burning. I don't see anything. Yeah, this is heavy on our minds. It's obvious. Lots of sorrow around this, around just trying to work and make a life, right? And the way that there's so little respect for that in this administration. They're just really, I mean, it's fascist, right? Of course they don't respect it because they're racist fascists, okay? But that's what it's showing here, that there's just so little regard for the pulse and heartbeat of this country. Working class people that make it happen, that harvest our food, that and I'm doing that work. I'm a worker. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I do have privilege. I have racial privilege for sure. But what I'm saying is like, we are the people. We're the heart, right? And they have so little regard for that. It's just heartbreaking. That's what we're feeling over people just trying to work and have a better life for their family. It's shameful. It's shameful what's being carried out. It's a theft. Again, theft. There's a tower. It's a tower. It's a crisis of masculinity and patriarchy again, because patriarchy is oligarchy, is white supremacy, is imperialism, right? They're all connected. And that's what this is saying here. It's a crisis of masculinity. But there's also opportunity here, which it talked about multiple times, the opportunity. But it's hard, you know, it's a hard go, but we have the heart behind us. What's a plant medicine that can help us with this? What's a plant medicine that can be useful for rebellion, right? Like often when you're in the streets, people carry in sage bundles and other smudges, which are beautiful, but how else might plants help? Nourishing our bodies, helping us rest and get good sleep. What else? What plant medicines? What plant medicines would be useful? I'm just going to say citrus. Citrus is one of my favorites for building my fire and confidence and helping me feel cleansed, kind of, and uplifted with sun power. Yarrow on the bottom of the deck, which is often called warrior plant. I love it. Iris, and I'll pull one more. Wild yam. I take wild yam right now in an herbal complex I'm taking. Oops. Shoot, I don't remember where the book is for this deck here. Sorry about that. Normally it's just right here, but I'm seeing that I can't see it. Shoot. Well, we might just have to make note of that. That it's wild. Oh. No. Dang, where is that? That's weird. Where's that book? I just read from it in like one of my last readings. Where would it have gone? That's really weird. Oh, it's right here. Duh. I was looking right at it the whole time. I don't know why I thought this wasn't the book. Okay. Card 21, Iris. Plants to help us in these times of upheaval. Oh, and the Hood Witch on Instagram, she has her own, website and everything too. I just follow her work on Instagram, but she was talking about the Pluto in, I don't remember now, Aquarius? Or Pluto in something that's right in alignment with all of this upheaval and power differential shifting in mass scale, like on a societal level, human level, right? Iris, the radiant renewer. Iris is a queen, elegant and complex. Iris enraptures and enchants. Iris knows the secrets of our webs and nests and can converse in their hidden language. Iris builds you as a castle, strong, reinforced, and standing tall. From a scientific standpoint, this can mean that Iris will move your lymph, increase enzyme production, and aid your liver and remove waste from the body. In essence, Iris shores up our edges, secures our boundaries, and makes sure that we're able to thrive. When we need all that, we need all of that. Iris is iridescent, Iris shines, and so do you. If you feel the dulling edge of monotony in your life, the mundane is bending your shoulders or heavying your step, Iris will bring you back to the magic of the world, guide you through the beauty around you, down a path radiating color and light. Lay yourself in green grass and find this glowing eroticism of Iris. Iris also acts as a bridge between human life and the rest of the natural world. If you find yourself too long indoors, too connected to material things, too enmeshed in the mechanical world, find your release with Isis. Oh, and that's just what we were talking about, being forced to be in the matrix as well. Iris compels us to create. Iris requests the cultivation of splendor within yourself and in the world at large. If you are an artist who feels blocked, who is yearning to create with passion, Iris is your ally. Ultimately, we are all artists. If you hear that part of you calling out, Iris is your friend. Step outside, find the moist running spring and lushness that accompanies Iris, and place yourself in front of them. Let the artistry in your heart run wild. Let your luminous, lustful self come forward and lead from desire. Iris is a queen, and so are you. Very beautiful. The next one is Wild Yam, 65. Silk of the web. Wild yam weaves and vines their heart-shaped leafy magic through clearings in the forest. Wild yam is a potent messenger of balance, both in the human body and in the greater ecosystems in which we live. Wild yam is an ancient ally, teaching our endocrine systems to find balance, allowing elegant and effective communication between the biological channels our bodies use. Wild yam is a harmonizer, working to preserve and maintain the beautiful web of natural order. Wild yam brings the news that every piece of the puzzle is important and every missing link affects all other things. Wild yam's presence reminds us that collective wellness is only is the only way, and without it, every living being and all parts of ourselves will suffer and be thrown off balance. Amen. We must never believe the falsehood that we are separate from the whole. Wild yam is currently considered to be of at-risk status in the United States, abundant in some places and scarce in others. This is a plant whom we have long relied on, and now it's time we must care for their resurgence in the wild. Wild yam's message, one that calls for balance and restoration, one that has resounded throughout our physical bodies for generations, must now become our call to action on their behalf. If you are finding the need for equilibrium within your own body and within the greater network of ecological literacy, invite wild yam to your table, or find your way to a clearing in their forest. Our net of life will not hold strong without heeding this call. Damn, beautiful. And then finally, yarrow, which is card 46. The Edgewalker. Yarrow is a hardworking and precise filter, an edge plant and gatekeeper. Yarrow aids in deciding what stays and what goes, and therefore is a particularly good ally to empaths. If you are often subject to the swirling energies around you, find yourself especially permeable, overly impacted by others, yarrow is a meaningful and loyal companion. Yarrow's name, millefolium, 1,000 leaves, conjures the image of a tightly knitted green lace, and indeed, the work of this plant's magic weaves your blood and your spirit back into a fortified state. Our blood is the basis of all our physiology, as well as our genetic inheritance and ancestry. It is the thread that stitches all our lineages together. Yarrow speaks to the blood as an old friend and offers themselves as a safety net. Resilient and undemanding, yarrow allows us to be ourselves, guarding us from feeling too much of what is outside of ourselves or out of our control. For those whose role in their community requires that they often hold space for the wounds and vulnerabilities of others, yarrow allows us to go deeper into this work of healing, supporting without being taxed and depleted from these exchanges. Yarrow can let us go further without the fear of going too far. The fear of losing ourselves can cause such caution that we end up with self-limiting beliefs and actions. Yarrow can lead us to the edge of our limits and then beyond. Yarrow is also a renowned wound healer. It stitches our bleeding parts inside and out. It fights infections, staunches bleeding, tightens tissue, and regenerates. Allow yourself to become that green lace, elegantly woven together. Allow yourself to be porous while knowing that you are discerning and filtering and safe. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to pull one more card here and then we will call it good. What's some final advice for us that care about what's happening and are fighting back against this escalation of immigration? Poised. That's an encouraging card to see here. Card 48. Be ready. Be at your best and be confident. You can be assured that you are ready for anything. You know what you need to do. Your skills are sharp. You've come to this place armed and with wisdom and knowledge. And you sense a new phase of your life about to begin. People respond to your confidence and trust you. This is an auspicious time to begin new things. You have every reason to feel confident. Everything you need to make your success concrete is at your disposal. You can take action knowing you are ready to step into your power, into your light, and into your service to the world. The direction you're moving in is your destiny. Your soul is smiling with joy as you align with this truth. When you're confident and happy in your own skin, you are ready for deeper, more intimate relationships. You have nothing to prove right now. You are completely yourself and can handle anything. Love, relationships, and harmonious new connections are all present now or are coming in. You're ready to give and receive from the heart. This is a beautiful place to be. So we're poised to be doing this work that's straight out of the heart center, and that is a guarantee that we will have joy and reward in the work, even if some of the things we're fighting for we may not live to see, right? So I'll just leave it there. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.